Hello everyone, Brother Neuro here. In this video I want to talk about a new controversial movie that most or possibly all of you have not heard of. The movie is called Jafaican, and here is the film synopsis from IMDb. East London's Gary Buckle, aka Gaza, is what some would call an honest thief, if there is such a thing. After a lifetime of petty crime and short stints at Her Majesty's pleasure, Gaza finds himself in a predicament, broke again, but this time with a large debt to clear as he is responsible for his elderly grandmother's care home costs. With this looming over his head, Gaza needs to raise £35,000 and quickly to clear the outstanding debt. Gaza sets out to find ways of raising the money, and on a visit to his elderly mother's care home to deliver the bad news, he overhears a conversation between an elderly Jamaican lady and her grandson. What follows is a crazy comedic journey which spans across London and the heart of the Caribbean, Jamaica. Gaza has 21 days to learn how to be Jamaican and pull off the craziest fraud of his lifetime while trying not to get killed in the process. It's learn to be a Jamaican or die trying. And whilst the premise of this film may seem enough to stir up enough controversy, the main reason that this film has gained a bit more attention than most is because the lead character is played by Peter Andre. Now, if you have no idea who the fuck Peter Andre is, he is an Australian pop star whose career peaked in the UK around 1996 with his song Mysterious Girl.
Baby girl, shine like a looking glass.
Oh, mysterious girl, I wanna get close to you.
Which reached number 2 in the UK chart. His pop career had a minor resurgence in 2004 following his appearance on the Illuminati Public Humiliation Ritual reality TV show called I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, during which time he spooned with nude model Katie Price, aka Jordan, and was caught on night vision camera nursing a massive erection. This led to the UK re-release of Mysterious Girl.
Oh, mysterious girl, I wanna get close to you.
Something Katie Price definitely wasn't, which charted at number 3. Since then, he hasn't really done much of anything of note, other than a few years spent hosting his own show on the right-wing propaganda network GB News, a fact which doesn't help if you later want to convince people that you have a basic pre-nursery level school understanding of racial sensitivities. And that is the guy who was chosen by the makers of this film to play a white Londoner who pretends to be a Jamaican. At this stage, most of you are probably thinking, well, this movie sounds fucking awful. But to those of you who aren't sure, let me try and remove all doubt by showing you some of the trailer.
You want to go to Jamaica, pose as this Jamaican gangster, steal all his dough, and then hope to live.
I mean, all I've got to do is learn the Jamaican accent.
If you're ready for die, who am I to try and stop you?
Here we go.
Pat was not just a dialect. It's a way of life. An attitude.
Let them know man say that. Kill man alright. Blop, blop, brrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr
find him, kill him, bring him back to life, and then kill him again.
Now, on the surface, this movie sounds like a very easy thing to have an opinion on. It's outdated, it's tone-deaf, it's insensitive, and from an artistic standpoint, it looks like a pile of dog shit. And, spoiler alert, all of those things are fair, valid and true. But at the same time, I think it's a bit more complicated than that, and that's what I want to attempt to try and analyse the controversy and debate that this movie has created, and try to work out how, if at all, this could have possibly been avoided. And I am uniquely qualified to talk about this because I am not a white guy, I just play one on the internet. The film was written and directed by Freddie Nwaka. I did check out his Wikipedia page, but I get a feeling that recently someone has been tampering with it when it described Jafaican as a Marxist commentary and Peter Andre as a noted humanist. Nwaka started his career as a bodyguard for the likes of 50 Cent and Biggie Smalls. Nwaka, a rapper himself, would go on to be the only British rapper signed by Wu-Tang Clan. This is a claim that he makes a lot in interviews, although in 1999 he said in an interview that he wasn't actually signed as a recording artist just to be part of the family, which has got to be in the rapping terms equivalent of a participation trophy. But despite all of these high-profile connections, his rap career would not amount to much. He then tried his hand at acting, which saw him only getting a few roles in some short films, so he decided to create his own opportunities by writing and directing his own movies. An admirable approach, even if the results were not exactly goodwill hunting. Jafaican is without a doubt his most high-profile release so far, not because it had a bigger budget or bigger stars, but because of the sheer what-the-fuckness of the whole idea. The film was scheduled to be shown at the Gold Coast Film Festival in Australia, which prompted outrage from a coalition of Caribbean creatives who penned an open letter to the film's director. The letter states, "Low racial self-esteem is a condition in which black individuals, whether consciously or not, internalise anti-blackness and feel disconnected from or ashamed of their racial and cultural heritage and identity, often leading to behaviours or creations that reinforce the very stereotypes and structures that oppress them." The Gold Coast Film Festival responded to this open letter in an email, literally trying to defend Peter Andre's casting by citing the fact that the 1996 hit Mysterious Girl had strong reggae influences. Which is true, yeah, but there's two things there. Number one, Peter didn't put a wig on and pretend to sing the reggae parts, and if that's the case, why not cast Bubba Ranks as the leader in this film? Baby girl! Despite all of this negative backlash, Nawaka has, understandably, leaned into the controversy, presumably seeing it as nothing more than free advertising for the film. This led to him getting an interview on BBC Radio 1 Extra with Richie Braves, so I figured we'll now listen to that interview to see how Freddie goes about defending this film.
I mean, how did you get into the filmmaking business?
Wow. So I started off as an actor. I've done a film with 50 Cent called Dead Man Running as an actor.
I don't wish to shit on Freddie's career too hard here, but one thing he seems to like to do is embellish or mislead people into what he's actually done or is doing. And so when he says he was in a film with 50 Cent, there was a film called Dead Man Running that starred 50 Cent, and Freddie Nawaka was in it, but he played the character of Rude Boy Number 1.
And I realised that there wasn't a lot of roles for, at the time, for black actors.
This is an ironic statement, considering all of this fuss about Jafaican could have been resolved quite easily if he had just, I don't know, cast a black guy instead of a white.
And I was like, you know what, I need to start creating my own lanes. So I taught myself how to write, direct, produce and act.
Again, it's an admirable quality to do this, to go out and make your own opportunities, but there's a big difference between teaching yourself to write, direct, produce and act, and just doing it on your own.
Do you know what? I go Jamaica, and I have been going for many, many years. Do you know what I mean? It's a beautiful island, and I love the culture.
Yeah, you know what? My parents have go to Barbados, like, every year. They've probably been about 24 times. I wouldn't trust them to make a film that was culturally sensitive about the area and the people.
Literally, every time I've gone there, I've embraced so many different people. Like, it's such a multicultural country, and they're very welcoming of different people. So I've seen Chinese, Indian, black.
I do like how he appeared to struggle to think of the word black there.
All different cultures. And me, myself, growing up, I was really influenced by the Jamaican culture. And I just wanted to tell a story that was bringing everyone together.
Well, given how divisive the film has been, it's obviously a failure on that front. But also, you need only look at the trailer of the film to see that you aren't bringing all different cultures together here. You've got a Greek Cypriot Australian playing a Cockney who's a white bloke who pretends to be Jamaican. That's bringing a few cultures together, but probably not in the way anybody really cares or wants.
I wouldn't say it's so it's a storyline, right? So obviously it's fictitious.
It's at this point you realise that Freddie Nawaka has never really had to defend any of the movies he's made before. And the reason for that is simple, is they've never been big or popular enough for anyone to get worked up over. But this is the first time he's had to do it. And you can tell that from the fact that his defence, and he makes this defence repeatedly throughout the interview, that this is a fictitious story. Like, we know, mate. We didn't actually think this was some hard-hitting documentary. We didn't think this, this is like telling wrestling fans that wrestling isn't real. We know this. We didn't think this was a true story. And even if it was, that wouldn't make a shit of difference. That would make it even worse, maybe, but it's still pretty fucking bad. So this is like when someone tries to defend any joke a comedian tells that offends people. They say it's just a joke. Well, it's not. It's more than that. You can't just say it's fictional, it doesn't matter.
And so this story could have taken place anywhere in the world. It would be no different to making it take place in, say, America or Africa or anywhere. It just so happens that the backdrop is Jamaica. It wasn't picked for any other reason other than that.
Now, this just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. What do you mean you could have done the film anywhere? Well, you couldn't, really. The film is called Jafaican. You can't do a film called Jafaican about anywhere other than fucking Jamaica. It wouldn't make sense anywhere else. But you are right in a sense that it could have been anywhere, but it wasn't. You chose Jamaica. And the fact that you're now trying to say there's no real reason, and you didn't even complete the sentence as to what your reasoning was, you just said that it just so happened to be there. Right? Why? Why did it just so happen to be there? Is it because the word Jafaican doesn't rhyme with any other nationality?
No, do you know what? No reason at all. It wasn't. I didn't pick Jamaica as a particular place, and it wasn't that Nigeria. I might, and I probably will do a film in Nigeria, but I don't have to be Jamaican to make a film about Jamaica. You'll find that some of the great films that have come out over the years weren't made by people of that culture.
Cool Runnings. He's talking about Cool Runnings. That is the only film he could possibly be referencing.
Okay, so the casting process was pretty simple. We had about 15 or 16 people that actually applied for the role, and we made sure that we had a Jamaican team that literally spoke to, done the whole casting. I must say, Peter literally smashed his part. It wasn't like hands down as an actor. Most people see Peter as a personality and as a singer, but he is a very, very talented actor.
One of the reasons the casting process is probably quite easy is because once you've watched a few of Freddie Nwaka's films, you realise that he casts pretty much the same 7 or 8 people in each movie. And I'm not busting on him for that. That's a reasonable thing to do when you're making low-budget films. Have a small-knit group of people who you use in each film. However, to sit there and say Peter smashed his role out of the park there, I have trouble believing that, considering in a previous film of Freddie Nwaka's, Peter Andre played a very minor role of a homeless racist who gets the shit kicked out of him, and it was fucking awful. He wouldn't be able to get the supporting actor role of himself in his own porno. And if you're sat there wondering, what's this other film you're talking about? More on that later.
Do you know what? So some of the things that I saw online was people thinking it was blackface and stuff like that. And there's no blackface in the film. And what I keep trying to explain to people, the film has iconic people in it, like Sizzler, Oliver Samuels. These people would, they're as you know, they're Jamaican, they're iconic people. They wouldn't endorse a film that put Jamaica in any form of bad light.
British black comedian Lenny Henry started his career by appearing on the Black and White Minstrels show. So I'm not sure you can use the fact that you have black people in your film or Jamaican people in your film as an indication that it's not disrespectful of Jamaica, particularly when one of those is a 76-year-old comedian who's probably a bit struggling for work, and the other one is a massively homophobic rapper who is persona non grata with a lot of people, anyone with any sense of taste or decency.
We're in a time where a lot of people are offended by, I mean, you could drop your hat and people are offended. The Jamaican motto, out of many is one people, right?
Absolute irrelevant fucking bollocks, that.
Peter's character is a white guy from London who goes to Jamaica to imitate a white Jamaican.
Now, that is a very interesting point, because I didn't realise that watching the trailer, and I didn't even know this until I saw this interview of him saying that. So the fact that that doesn't even come across in the film says a lot about how poorly thought out this entire thing fucking was. That said, he's still not off the fucking hook.
I would understand
But why has he got, if he's imitating a white Jamaican, why does he have an Afro-textured dreadlock wig on?
Because for one, when I went to Jamaica myself, I saw numerous white people in Jamaica.
But it's an Afro-textured wig.
That had locks. And remember, it's a comedy. It's not a real person.
Okay, do you know who you should probably tell this it's fictional, it's a comedy, it's not real to? It's probably Peter fucking Andre, because as early as last week, he was in OK Magazine and other outlets talking about the time he was really hurt and had his feelings hurt because Danny Dyer had said some horrific things about him in the 90s. And if you don't know what he's referring to, here's the clip from the movie that he's talking about.
I'd have to take a celebrity with me. Someone like, what's his name? What's his name? British pop frog, you know, built like a brick shithouse he is. Ugly fuck. Peter Andre, yeah. I couldn't just shoot him first though, mate. You're having a laugh, ain't you? Nah. Oh no, that'd be like huffing a cream cake whole without it touching the sides, do you know what I mean? I believe it would be quite rude not to talk to him first, do you know what I mean though, mate, dear? Thumb screws instantly spring to mind. You know, followed by an intense session of electrodes on the testicles. Yeah, a fucking a wire coat hanger down the Jap's eye, you know what I mean? Really fucking hurt the geezer, do you know what I mean? And finally, a bullet between the eyes, and it's time to say hello to the old man you've been working on Earth for all this time, Pete. See you later on, Pete. No one gives a fuck about you. Fucking hell, mate.
Now, if Peter Andre can be butthurt over a Danny Dyer film from the 1990s for 30 years and not understand that it's fictional, it's not real, can you ask the entire country of Jamaica to do the same thing?
You can't go. Everyone that knows Sizzler, aka Dada, you can't go to
Mr. Kalonji.
Kalonji. You can't, and then you would know as well, Rishi.
Yeah, of course.
You can't go to Judgment Yard out in Jamaica. We was invited into Judgment Yard, so you can't just roll up and go into them places, right? So we went in there invited by Sizzler. We filmed in Judgment Yard with loads of Rastas, and there were white Rastas in there. Right?
For those of you who are curious, Judgment Yard is basically a compound upon which the rapper Sizzler lives. And whilst he says you can't just roll up there and go in, that's true. You might not be able to go in there for free, but if you pay £26.20, you can take a 2-hour guided tour of the facility. So this idea that he got invited in, like he was allowed to join in the meetings of the Protocols of Zion, is absolute twaddle. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if an amount of the budget for this film went on him paying £26.20 per person to fucking actually go in there, and fucking walk around for a bit.
Talk to me about the Jamaican people, for those who don't know, who've been involved in the process and been involved in the creation of the film, because there must be people behind the scenes.
Of course. So our research team, some of them are Jamaican.
What do you mean? Some of them, right? Did anyone else feel that had the sort of whiff of some of my best friends are black about it?
We made sure, one of our things was when we went to Jamaica, we wanted to make sure that we gave back to the island. So you see a lot of these films that film in Jamaica and the Caribbean, they bring their crews in, they bring their teams in. So we made sure that down to the food, we use Jamaican nationals.
When Freddie says down to the food, what he means is every morning they went to a cafe.
Our location scouts were Jamaican. We didn't build sets. We used actual establishments that were in Jamaica so that we could keep the money and keep things in the island.
He kind of said the quiet part out loud there. I don't know if you heard that. Let's play that again. He said we went there so we could keep the money and keep everything there in Jamaica. Yes. In other words, we went out there and used all their people because we could pay them fuck all.
Down to our dialogue coaches, Peter's character had a dialogue coach to make sure that it sounded authentic.
Let them know man say that. Kill man alright. Blop, blop.
Right to the end, even down to the music. We have songs in there from Marley's and various other reggae artists for that.
Oh, you got songs from the Marleys. Well, thank God for that. I'm so glad to see you putting a light on these small, barely known independent musical artists who really could do with a bit of a step up, who just can't catch a break. The fucking Marleys.
Do you know what? With anything, people watch a trailer and form a judgment based on what they see, but you have to watch the film.
Good point. Fair point. More on that later.
Where can we see it?
Okay, so do you know what? It's gone crazy, bro. Like, it's literally gone mad. Like, I got to look at my phone for the dates just so you know what's good. Yeah. Like, so the film was out on the 20th of May, and it's exclusive to Odeon. Like, Odeon reached out to us. They watched the film, loved it. So we got a pre-sale week. It starts off on the 25th. We start pre-sales, and the demand has gone so mad. We've had to do a pre-sale of a pre-sale.
Bollocks, right? Total, unequivocal bollocks. A, bollocks, and B, I don't need a B because the A was so great. You're doing a pre-sale of a pre-sale, right? For your cinematic release. The fucking Minecraft movie didn't do a pre-sale, mate, of a pre-sale, and they took $500 million in their first weekend. The Odeon reached out to you, my fucking arse.
I get the way the media works, and I get the way
But it's not the media,
No, but
it's
I'm
the
saying-
community.
But
that
the
are
community,
reacting.
no, I understand that, but I've also seen, for every one comment that I've seen which appears to be negative, I've seen hundreds of positive, and loads of messages that are coming from native Jamaicans that have said, I'm not offended. So
Well, that's just demonstrably not true. You need only look at the comments of people online under your videos, wherever. I bet, however, the people you're not showing who are very supportive of this film are right-wing media hacks like Dan Wootton, who are very, very enthusiastic about this film because naturally this film has now become a part of the divide in the culture wars. Right, so you're probably not too keen to show them that, but apparently everyone is a fucking Jamaican, and he's certain of that. And even if that was the case, the fact that he's claiming hundreds of people are enthusiastic about this film for every one negative comment, the negative comments are the reason people are talking about it. So the fact that you're claiming there are 100 times as many people who are interested in it suggests, you know, that you're talking bollocks again.
it seems to be a certain type of people that are messaging and saying certain things.
And what type are those people?
I just feel like they are, for me, for example, I go to Jamaica more than a lot of my Jamaican friends. Like, I love Jamaica. Like I said, my son's half Jamaican.
You'll notice he didn't fucking answer that question as to what sort of people complain. He just started babbling on about how I go to Jamaica more than my Jamaican friends. Yes, you know us better than we know ourselves. Also, my son is half Jamaican. Isn't that the excuse a lot of white comedians used to use? Because they've got a black wife or they've got black friends, or they've got a biracial kid, so I can say the N-word on stage? How is this motherfucker any better than that? And I don't know if this was a mistake, a Freudian slip, or he did this on purpose, but Richie Braves really decides to just throw some shade at Freddie as he's doing the outro.
Thank you so much for joining.
No, thank you for having me, man.
No problem. That was Freddie Wanker there, who is...
Now, regardless of how you feel about this film, I think we can all agree that the only way that any of this is going to matter is if the film is actually any good. Now, unfortunately, I can't watch Jafaican at the moment because it isn't out yet. And I don't know if I'll be able to get the tickets because they're on a pre-sale. But what I can do is watch one of Freddie Nwaka's other movies. And believe it or not, Jafaican is not the first race swap movie that he's ever done. In 2022, he wrote and directed On the Other Foot, in which a white racist wakes up to discover he's a black man. And it just so happens to be on Amazon Prime, along with Nwaka's other movies. So I watched it, and oh my god. To put it bluntly, this movie deals with the issues of race and politics about as sensitively as Birth of a Nation. It's so bad that I felt it actually deserved its own deep dive review. But I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to do that in a separate video, which I will initially upload on my Patreon. So if you want to see that video when it comes out, a few weeks before it's uploaded here, sign up to my Patreon below by clicking on the link. All I will say is that if Jafaican is even 10 times better than On the Other Foot, trust me, you have nothing to worry about. This is going to disappear very quickly. I'm Brother Neuro, saying good night, may God be less, and where there's no sense, there's no feeling.